welcome. In this video, I'm here with Scrappy for a socialization exercise. And on the other video, you will have seen me do the setup for that with me sitting at my desk, taking my time, Scrappy in the crate and getting him to relax. Now here's the thing, I mentioned this before. Scrappy, 6 months of age, he's police caliber dog. He's at the very, very top when it comes to drive. And so therefore, again, in terms of how you connect with Scrappy and other dogs like Scrappy, is you have to really make sure you're meeting the dog's social needs by way of leadership. Again, talk about an interaction-based approach to resolve an issue once the dog has already gained a level of control, okay, which is the case with Scrappy. So now there's a reversal, okay, totally fixable, okay, but you have to follow the right path. So you don't want to engage in bribery, using treats, anything like that, because it's going to, again, offer a appearance as though perhaps Scrappy or other dogs like him are getting better by way of agreeableness, but it's context. Understand, it's like bribing a selfish child, okay? This is what gets people in a lot of trouble, and they feel blindsided because then something bad happens, somebody gets bitten, and then they say, where did that come from? Well, it came from an idea based on how it's applied that led people into wrong assumptions. Because again, the only way to gain context is through a very specific interaction-based approach to understand where you're truly standing in the relationship at the beginning and make sure change is happening in a very intentional and predictable way throughout. Okay, I want to make that very clear. So understand the mind of a dog that way. So here, I've Scrappy in the down here, Polly is in the background here, and I'm going to start to move around with Scrappy. But here's the thing, when a dog like Scrappy has a lot of control based on his caliber and what that represents, you want to slow this down, okay? Take your time because you're going to get more of a reaction. It look like the dog is choking because their mind's pulling in. Understand, it's physiological, and this happens especially with very young dogs. So help to kind of accommodate that and make sure that they're going to have a better response, going to be more agreeable the right way, okay, is to really take your time, and you have to understand they're working through it, but working through it the right way. The temptation, again, is to start to do something different. Don't do it. So here, with Scrappy, I'm just going to take my time. Notice I'm still, even as I'm talking here on video, I'm still nudging a little bit, making sure he's not investing. Okay, I already know he's a certain, desire, a want to connect with other dogs that way. That's not what you want, okay? I want to come through me. I'm the pivot point. So I bring him up and do a sit. Sit. I'll say it, notice here, same thing. Putting a little bit, I'm using the choke chain. Even right here, I'm just taking my time. Now there's a release point here, and this takes stress off him. So, when I have using a choke chain, I need the leverage, okay? I need the ability to control him more. But, when you're first starting to do this, understand it can be really tricky for a beginner handling a dog this way because the tendency is to put too much, right? Not release the right moments, okay? So you got to make sure you're releasing because you have to, here's the thing. This will look tight sometimes based on just appearances, but it's really not, okay? I'm releasing it. As soon as he's giving, I'm giving, okay? But I have to know when to. I'm being very proactive at the same time. So I'm not waiting for his mind to blow up. Even here, I'm turned opposite. So see, so it gives me a tremendous advantage in terms of being dialed in and being ahead of his mind, okay? So, because it's going to be more agreeable to that, right? So here, see, I'm just tapping a little bit here, tapping. I am going to move here in a moment, and I'm going to make one trip around the crate. This is the first time he's been introduced to Polly, okay? So brand new situation here, and so the introduction or the bridge building comes through me, just like, being a parent, okay? It's about relationship, okay? Him as a follower, but advocating. Influence is part of the equation, so I'm going to be intercepting his state of mind, already knowing, okay, he's holding a level of control. He doesn't have a healthy way of thinking, so this is the key. That will diminish over time, but right now, it has to be part of the equation. So we start to move here with him. As I move, notice I angle here a little bit. Right? See his tail's wagging. This is a power play, okay? Down. And so I'm going to put him really down, take stress off of him. Still tapping here. So I have an angle. Right? I'm still committed to tapping a little bit. See, he's working through it. See the reaction? Right? If he wants, so he's, again, this is a de-stressing exercise. He wants to be able to do what he wants to do. not allowing it, but also not allowing him, not physically not allowing it, but mentally not allowing it, okay? So I'm not letting him connect with his mind, okay? So once I have a level of calmness, I can take another step, okay? So I want him to be in a certain relaxed state. At first, it may not be, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm always working towards a better state all the time. Understand, like when you're dealing with introducing this type of situation here, this type of exercise, okay, you can't, the dog will only release so much control every day. It's like 1%, especially with some caliber dogs. So understanding that, okay, but again, you modify your exercise to make sure that you're taking your time at the same time. So you have to work this out in a way that's kind of like doing like an equation. Okay, that's how my mind kind of works that way to make sure you're successful, but the right way. Okay, so same thing. Sit. Bring up to a sit. Yeah, moving towards, same thing. Slow it down. See, you've got a reaction there, right? Yeah, barely. And same thing. You really see get close here, have a reaction. Understand, this is physiological. The mind's going. It's a young dog, so he really wants to connect here. I'm nudging here, I'm releasing. But notice there's a reaction happening. Don't want to see it. I don't, it's not a good thing to see, but I'm trying. Like I said, we have to work through this too. But there's a way to do it. That's why you really got to slow it down here. Because he's that dog. Okay? He's that dog that's going to just try to push through everything. Because again, he's at that top level. And he's young. But this is something where it's like him and I were working through this together the right way, right? This is a control exercise. This is a power play, but it has to be. It has to be a power play, but a power play the right way. Same thing. I'll bring him up to a sit. I'll move with him just a little bit. Because notice the reaction, right? You're going to get a reaction. Because he's going to try to push pretty hard here. I'm tapping. Down. The reaction's happening here a little bit. Nudging ahead of time. Right here, I did just enough control, just enough tension to that choke chain to have control, but not to be creating conflict, okay? So it has to be a release, but not total release that way. Sit. And notice I just take a small step here, right? Because again, I'm trying to avoid a reaction, but don't accommodate the other way. He'd love for me to release him and let him do so. You have to know where that line is here. This is why, again, you need to slow it down. You need to really slow this down. If I took 2 steps, you're going to get a really big reaction from him. If I took 2 steps, he'd be like, his mind's pulling in so hard, so much stress on him because he wants to fight through it. Sit. Same thing, just going. So I'm going at a big angle here. Notice I'm totally turning around. So for him, I'm totally turning around this way. We're going to make our way around this crate. But I'm going to turn this way. Tapping. Down. So I'm going to do it down. Tapping. Just barely tapping, but notice how reactive he is. Get very close to Polly. Same thing, moving here. Taking, trying to, same thing. Taking the influence off, down. Gonna get a reaction here. Sit. taking my time here. Down. Comes down here, like I said, just like you're walking a line here. You don't want to, like I said, you're going to get, this is the thing about dogs at this level. You get these type of high drive dogs, very stubborn, want to push through. All right, that's why you got to slow it down. But you got to be proactive. The secret is to be as proactive as you can, because if you wait, you're going to have more conflict. Okay, if you let them invest at a certain level, then you try to what's called correct the dog. Right, that's where you're going to get a big reaction. Right, especially with a younger dog. Here, it's the secret is to be very proactive. You saw he had a couple reactions over there, like that type of, you know. But understand, this is his mind pulling in. But again, to accommodate that, so to keep them diminished as much as possible, just like there, is to really be ahead of his mind as much as possible. Okay, to be as proactive as you can, and then taking your time. You know, because understand, this gets better as it goes along. Those reactions start to go away totally. But at first, you're going to get that a little bit. But again, understand, you're dealing with a high caliber dog too. Sit. So again, very good. You know, even though he's had a couple reactions, or understand he was having a lot, and this is where you really got to slow it down with some dogs, especially younger dogs, okay, that are high caliber dogs. You're going to get those high reactions. But again, the temptation is to go the other way and engage in a bribery, do certain things like that. That's no way to go. Understand, that just is going to set people up to be blindsided, because something bad's going to happen. Okay, you have to follow the right path, but there's ways to accommodate without the dog gaining control through the accommodation. Some of those ways is just slowing down, taking your time, but you're in full control. Just that you have to understand it, because movement then becomes a problem. You walk too fast, go too fast, you're going to have a bigger reaction, because that dog's mind is now jumping. You know, the mind's jumping over because they're anticipating. Right? That's just how it's already been established through relationship. So now we've got like a hard stop, fade in. But again, doing really well considering it's coming. We're midway through here. Again, but it's the same. Understand this right here. It's like the same messaging all the time. Nudging, tapping, knowing just when to assert influence at the right moments, and say the same thing, because dogs desperately want to connect. This is a power play. But he is agreeable to what I'm doing because it's reasonable, and I'm doing everything the same everywhere. Okay, it makes